One of the pieces of feedback that Denise and I have heard at previous events is that people want more opportunities to listen to and hear from each other. This is one of the ways that we can facilitate that. I know sometimes it's nice to just have loose networking, but with loose networking, sometimes you just talk with the people you already know. So when we have these breakout groups, we get a chance to mix and mingle a little bit better. And the grad students that were facilitating your groups did the best they could to capture key points that you had to offer on the themes of that particular group. Our goal right now is to ask each of them to come up and walk you through some of the key high points. Again, the idea is to just give you a taste for what was discussed in each of these groups. What we'll be doing after the event today is summarizing all of that content that we heard, any other comments you may have written down and left at the tables. And we'll be putting together a series of blog posts for Smart Factory Institute to make available. You guys will all be notified about these, and hopefully it'll give you some more information to work with, okay? So without further ado, we'll go in whatever order we have here. Which one of you wants to go first? Yeah, and just introduce yourself, the group, and some of the high points, okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name's Abby Witt, and I am a first year in the UTC master's program in IO psychology. And so my group, our breakout discussion was looking at talent and new opportunities within different industries. And so we just walked through a few successes and challenges and a couple need help areas. And so the basic prompt that I threw out there was just, in what ways are you finding your talent? What does the technologies look around that? What are some areas that you need some help with? Where are you finding your talent pool? We didn't get as far as I wanted to, but that's okay. And so, so a few success high points. They're seeing a lot of success within the UTC engineering program. So they're having a lot of success in their talent and applicants pulling from UTC engineering specifically. They're also having a lot of success within work-based learning environments. So this looks like different internships associated with rotation of plants. So maybe they work at one plant for 3 months, then 6 months, then 9 months. And so they get to see a lot of different manufacturing plant, different contexts that come with each of the plants. And a lot of their internships also collectively made it seem like the internships were paid. So that's a good thing. And that's a great way to offer opportunities to students who are looking for opportunities. And then also seeing success with apprenticeship programs. So they're seeing that they're able to attract people who need help financially, which is great. And also flexible work environments. So a lot of them are structured with, 4 days, 10-hour shifts. And they're seeing a lot of success with that. Kind of gives ability to switch around work schedules and make some flexibility if needed for the other people who are also within the organization. They're also seeing success, lastly, with employee referrals and job postings, and then conferences within STEM specifically. So going to conferences and getting to meet new students, and specifically within STEM. So those are high points of the successes. And then for challenges, they're seeing a little bit of challenge with leadership skills. So maybe like the soft skills that are associated with leadership skills, and finding support from leadership to be able to, take the next step of finding new talent and new opportunities within that. And then also, so if the next generation, of course, we're coming into a new age of technology. And so there's just natural challenges that come with trying to meet the expectations of what they look for in a job and internship, and what matches with their organization and what they're able to offer at a high level. And then also just knowing where to start. So as I said, with the increase of technology, it can be a little bit intimidating to know how to attract and how to retain great talent. And then lastly, for our need help section, we talked about there's a need for engineering students and knowing where to find them. So yes, they're having success within UTC engineering, but there's still a level of not knowing where to start and where to begin with that. And then lastly, just the help or needing help with flexibility in industries where the process looks a little bit rigid, but they also need to meet manufacturing goals because it's rigid, but also giving them the flexibility they need, because with the new workforce emerging, there is a sense of flexibility in what work schedules look like and technology. So being able to balance, a rigid process of training and everything like that, which comes with manufacturing, but then also applying some flexibility. So thank you guys. That's all that I have.
All right, so my name is Anna Miner, and I'm also a first-year IO student at UTC. And my discussion group was called Actionable Approaches to Change Management, where we just kind of talked about how organizations can effectively manage Industry 4.0 workforce transformation. So as far as where we're kind of having success with managing this change, the first thing that we talked about is just kind of piloting this change initially. So that we're kind of introducing it slowly rather than throwing it on the employees suddenly. We also talked about, making sure to involve employees in the process and kind of making sure to prioritize employee buy-in. Another thing that was mentioned, which I thought was really cool, was the idea to kind of celebrate the success that is specifically attributed to that change. So if Industry 4.0 change brings about things like streamlining productivity or safety, making sure to celebrate those successes so that the workforce really sees the impact that that change brings about. And then the final kind of success highlight that I'll talk about is we mentioned kind of developing a team to introduce and manage that new change so that employees kind of have experts to go to when it comes to navigating those complexities. So we'll move on to the challenges. One challenge that you all probably could have guessed is the idea that most people see change as a threat. So how do we navigate that? What's the best way to kind of communicate that change? We also talked about how to develop training to support that change and prepping to manage the negative aspects that come with change, because we know, we're trying to prioritize the positive aspects of change, but negative things come with it. And so how to kind of be proactive in that as well. And then our final challenge was just kind of finding the right resources to help actually institute that change. And so all of those kind of translated into where we need help for this specific topic. So we kind of prioritize just talking about how to be proactive as opposed to reactive when it comes to managing change, and also how to prioritize communication and transparency throughout all levels of the process. That's it.
All right. I'm Leah, another grad student. My group was about smart metrics for smart workers driving performance excellence. And so one thing that a lot of people were saying is that they don't have trouble gathering data. That's definitely a success. There's plenty of data to go around. Someone mentioned having daily logs to kind of check the output on employees, and we heard about quarterly data points, and there's plenty of data to go around on what employees are doing, where they're moving, how well they're moving, how efficient they are. Someone even mentioned instantaneous performance. So someone mentioned that they had these color-coded ways that employees could instantly see how quickly they're going and how well they're performing. We kind of talked about how that's kind of a gamification of performance. And when it's green, they know they're doing well. And when it's yellow, they need to kind of pick up the pace, and having that instantaneous data point. So data collection was a success. A big challenge we discussed was data literacy. So employees can often struggle to see the story the data is telling. So we may understand what that data means, but how can we effectively translate that to employees? And what does it look like for them to not only see, hey, this is the number that says you're doing great or you're doing poorly, but how can what I'm doing every day reflect that well? And so we talked about that a lot. And we talked about how without proper translation, that these data points can be easily misinterpreted, and that can lead to even counterproductive behaviors. So we even highlighted safety a little bit. So if management is saying we value safety, but the performance metrics value efficiency and output over that, that's what the employees are going to rely on. Is they're going to go for the productivity, they're going to go for the efficiency, even though you're stating that safety is a priority. It's the data isn't reflecting that well. And so that's a challenge that people are facing. And then an area of growth that we can expect or hope for in this field is just operational resilience. So we discussed how metrics need to be flexible enough to account for friction in these organizations. So what happens when things break? What happens when the software is down or Wi-Fi goes out? And typically that wouldn't be an issue because these are very hands-on positions. But now that everything's becoming more automated and highly reliant on software, well, how are we helping employees in that transition? And how does that not affect their performance for things that's completely out of their control? So that's an area that we can really grow on in the future, is how can we help their performance in these difficult situations? So that was kind of a summary of what we talked about.
Hi, I'm Desiree. I'm a first-year student at UTC with the IO program. And then in my group, we talked about how essential psychological and professional needs can be fulfilled in Industry 4.0 manufacturing. And we talked about what matters for employee engagement, performance, and retention. So some of the successes that were trending in our group were that employees putting in their input with scheduling decisions, they saw success with that, with engagement and with retention. Continual development with employees was also something that improved engagement and motivation. And then having clear expectations on their path in the organization definitely helped improve retention as well. And then apprenticeships programs and then employee referrals helped with keeping employees over that 90-day mark. There were some mixed findings on the employee referrals, but in one organization, it did really well. Some of the challenges and areas that we needed help in are the first 90 days of an employee's time at the organization. There was high turnover there. So it's really getting people to stick with the organization, having them be honest about what they expect out of the organization. So having clear communication is something that is a challenge in the beginning, but can be a success if the organization gets that right. So communicating between tenured employees and new employees, what to expect out of their time in the organization, what to expect with their career growth in the organization as well. And then managerial support was a challenge and something that we needed to grow in. Managerial support isn't always consistent, and in groups where they had really strong support from the managers, they found that employees stayed in the organization. However, in other teams where the managers weren't as supportive, that was a reason for employees leaving the organization. So consistency with that. To fix that, developing managers, so leadership development is something that would assist in that situation. Also, promoting managers and having them understand the responsibility changes. So from going from an expert in your position to managing employees, having that gap bridged with development so they know that the responsibilities are different from just being an expert in your position and actually managing people. And then with that, that would help with communication so that you can better communicate with the employees to improve the retention and just support those employees.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. My name is Skylar. I'm a second year with the MSIO program, and my session was about harnessing advanced assessments and tools such as extended reality. We had a lot of good discussion, mostly about our challenges in of implementing these. So I'm going to start off with more of our successes first. So we've seen success in troubleshooting for our employees, along with being able to easily share our knowledge, sorry, I can't speak today, knowledge within with our employees, and then also decreasing the time and onboarding, which is great. What helped in advancing these tools in organizations is basically investing in our people in the front end before we're putting them through these trainings, and also having the right people when giving out these trainings. And then we really talked a lot about our challenges in this area, because it's still really new and not everyone is doing great at it, or we're kind of having a hard time finding good examples, is what a lot was discussed. We're also having a hard time with management support because of technology is always improving and changing. So having that follow through and also finding people who are able to help with updates is really challenging at the moment. So we saw a lot of change and too much change with this, and which makes it really hard to implement extended reality. And then also we have a need for champions, so someone who can support this throughout the involvement with other employees was another need for us. Yeah.
All right, let's give it one more round of applause for our IO students. So, what I wanted to tell you is it doesn't stop here. And what that means is the students will be taking the information that you all provided, and they'll be putting together a series of blog posts. So if you are on our email, you will receive those through that, or you can just subscribe to our website and you'll get a notification when those blog posts come out. So look forward to them and know that it came from the data from today's session. So appreciate that. We're going to go.